Since I'm on the subject of Occupy Wall Street, I want to establish how it is I can believe in the Bill of Rights, and by extension the Constitution, while calling myself a communist. Because there seems to be this notion that only the right wing can defend the Constitution. The only amendment they seem to care about is the 10th Amendment, or what's the 9th? Some of them sort of are redundant and overlaps one another. But the only rights they seem to care about are states' rights to be this Confederate bullcrap system where, what's the point of having a law if they can bend it, twist it, or just outright ignore it otherwise? That makes no sense. I'm a Federalist. I make no apologies for that. But then again, that comes with the territory of communism, where you believe that everyone is essentially equal, so they should follow the same laws. That not just nationally, but globally. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I don't see why there's anything wrong with what the Constitution says from a left-wing perspective. Freedom of speech, that goes without saying, If you believe people are essentially equal, then they're free to say whatever the fuck they want to. You can argue that some things should not be said, but then they should not be said by anybody. Whose freedom of speech is being restricted? It varies between person to person. And you know what I don't like? I don't like how the fucking internet gets to censor me, but they never get censored. Does YouTube ever have to worry about coming down? Of course not. YouTube isn't going anywhere. YouTube is owned by Google, and they're going to be here for a very long time. However, my videos are always constantly in jeopardy, because at any time, YouTube can decide to pull a dick move and delete one of them, or all of them, and, I'm just supposed to take it? No. I'm a human being. I have rights, and you will respect them. So, that's one of the reasons why I oppose capitalism. I oppose this notion that they can exercise the right to kick my ass and rape me of my civil liberties just because they own a website, when YouTube specifically says I own the contents of my videos. So, if I own my videos, why the fuck do you get to delete them? That makes no sense. If I hold legal responsibility for my videos, i.e., if Jim Profit makes an instruction on how to make a bomb, I'm held legally accountable for that, but yet somehow YouTube is still dictating them. Again, that makes no sense. So, the First Amendment seems to apply more so if you're left-wing than if you're right-wing. Because to the right-wing, all that matters is whoever has money gets to have rights and gets to dictate everything else for everybody else. The Second Amendment is the same thing. The right to bear arms. If you want to believe that certain arms are, should be restricted against somebody, argue that point. But then it applies to everybody. However, if private institutions get to have, get to sell arms, then they can bar somebody from going into their store. Or they can bar someone from coming into their store with a gun. Then why do you say you have a right to bear arms? If you only have a right to bear arms sometimes, then it isn't a right. It's a privilege. So why are you getting all uppity, being like, I'm for the Second Amendment? But then you won't get pissed off at 7-Eleven for telling you you can't bring a pistol holstered to your belt into the store, or even concealed. So that makes no sense. I believe that if you have the right to own a gun, you have a right to own a gun anywhere. 7-Eleven, the library, a daycare center, a church, whatever. So, there you go. I do think that they should classify what is a weapon and what isn't a weapon. That way, you cannot, under any circumstances, be denied a weapon. But you can be denied certain tools that do not classify as a weapon. Do I want people wielding laser guns? Probably not. But a laser gun might not be really considered a weapon. It isn't designed specifically to defend my life against, an assailant. So that's where the state can intervene, but I do not necessarily want them to. I'm just merely making a suggestion. Another right that I focus on, but not many people do, is the right to a fair trial. What is a fair trial? Well, a fair trial should be an unbiased jury. But if lawyers get to decide who goes on the jury bench, then it isn't really unbiased, because just because two lawyers get to argue and pick their jury between them doesn't necessarily mean it's unbiased. Meanwhile, all of us have to go to jury duty, just sit there and wait to be picked by the lawyers. So fuck our lives, fuck what we're doing. Maybe we have something like a job we need to uphold or a family, but we have to come to court just to wait for the lawyers to maybe pick us. So it's not even like it's a lottery system of we have a civic duty to be jury. What we have is a civic duty to come to the courthouse for the lawyers to look at us and decide if we're fit to be jury. Fuck those lawyers. Either I come to the courthouse to do my jury duty or I don't. But the lawyer thing is in and of itself a problem because people really don't have a right to an attorney. If they did, then how come attorneys aren't always on call for anybody under any circumstance? There's these situations where you have to be the defendant in order to get a free attorney, or there's certain variables, and I don't like that. If you have the right to a fair trial, you have the right to have someone to represent you and to speak on your behalf and to mediate between you and the rest of the court. So attorneys should be free for everybody, regardless. No exceptions. Just across the board, you can have whatever attorney you want at any time. And the same thing with the jury. The lawyers don't get to pick the fucking jury. They are randomly assigned. And there should be some sort of consent involved that if you do not want to be picked for jury, you don't have to be. You can say that I got things to do, or I do not think I'm mentally fit enough to handle this case, or whatever. That is your right as a human being. So I don't want to force you by the barrel of a gun to do your civic duty. What I want is a system to where there will be a random assortment of people that will have checks and balances and actually argue the case and prevent a lynch mob. So these are just some of the ways of how I justify being left-wing and at the same time for the Constitution. Not that anybody's gonna fucking listen, but, it's out there.